Hey everybody, it's Wukepedia. I come to you with a long-awaited video review of Undead Legacy. Had a request to play this mod from a YouTube viewer, and I've been playing it for the last couple weeks, and I thought I would give my take on the mod pack as a whole, and in a separate video I'll do like a tips video like I did last time with Darkness Falls. So, to kind of generalize, I've got a little chart here. Undead Legacy is a very close to vanilla mod. There's not a ton that has changed. It is still a very vanilla adjacent playstyle instead of like a Darkness Falls where there's a lot changed. There's a little bit to explain because there is quite a few changes. It's definitely worth a look. But what I'll say initially is I enjoyed my playthrough, and I'll tell you about the different changes that are available here. First and foremost, no matter what you do, go to the journal, and at the very end there's all of these UL. So this is all of the Undead Legacy things. Read those. If you get anything from this video, read that before you play. Anyway, this game changes the way you play in the early game quite a bit. You can't get water from like a river or anything else like that, so you have to interact with sinks and faucets and things like that. I'm not sure if we even have one in our house anymore. They also add a lot of tables. Alright, so like you can see the fancy toilet is 0 out of 5. The bathtub is 0 out of 3, etc, etc. So you have to get water from things in the world. Eventually you're able to get a well, and then I can fill it up, but you have to have the jar in your hand type thing to do it. So then it took 2 jars and it gave me 2 murky. So like the water gathering has changed quite a bit. There's an entire research system that's been put into play where you can basically create a schematic from almost anything, but it costs schematics to get your research data. So every schematic you scrap, you get research data, and there's other sources as well. But then if you find something, you can teach yourself how to make it, which I really like the idea of. It's changed the way we play through, and you can still find the schematics in the world. There's schematics for almost everything. But if you don't find the schematic and you find the tool or the workbench that you want to make, it usually just takes that thing, some research data, about 5 schematics worth, and some paper, and then you can teach yourself how to make that item that you've already found. That was a really nice way to help progression through. The other thing that this mod pack brings back is the progression of skills that you progress while doing. So it doesn't have every single thing, but there is a large number of things here. So as you mine, you get better at mining. As you loot, you get better at looting. So I've always liked that type of system, kind of an A16 style. And they have this on top of the base perks that are in the game normally, and they have shuffled a few things around. There's even a few extra ones, so like you can see how pack meal has changed. The entire inventory system is no longer a slot system, it is a weight system. It still has a slot limit, but it's all based on the weight here on the bottom right. So, and they've changed the whole UI and everything too, which it grows on you. But essentially you're not limited by the number of items you can carry, it's the weight of the items. So if I sort by weight here, this stack of meat is the heaviest thing in my inventory, it's 12 pounds. And here's 10 pounds of bullets, 9.5 pounds of rocket launcher, etc, etc. And there's quality changes too, they've added 2 more tiers above purple. But yeah, like the weight system is kind of interesting, and then like normal, when you modify your armor with like pocket mods, it just adds weight instead of slots. Backpacks do the same thing. The vehicles is another big change. So if you guys have been checking out the sides here, this is a Hummer. It's got, you know, gas. There's actually vehicle mods too for cargo capacity. I don't think he has any other vehicle mods in the game yet. I'm level 100 and I haven't found anything else besides this, but perhaps with Alpha 20. So this adds more weight to the truck, and by default I think this has 1,800 pounds. So the slot limit is quite a bit less forgiving on the vehicles than on your character. So you will eventually fill up the slots on the vehicles, but they also have a weight that factors in yours as well while you're driving it. So I'm at 750 on the bottom right here, and I was at about 250 myself and 500 here. So it actually factors in your own weight, but there's a lot of different vehicles to choose from. So like here's the one that they've added. This is the Dune Runner. It's quite cool. Basically the same idea as a motorcycle. It's about as fast, a little bit more carry weight, and still just a one-seater. Then we've got a police SUV, which does have some added effects. So they've done a little bit of work, but I think this is the only one that has like significant. So it has a siren and it has the lights. So it was a really cool find. But this one has like a little bit less storage. But so this vehicle will move a little bit faster than the military Hummer, but this carries a little bit less. They've got a mining cart. This thing moves pretty slow, but it has 6,000 pounds, so it's meant to like take with you mining. Motorcycles are great go-tos, and then there's a coupe, which is essentially a faster version of the motorcycle with very, very slightly more carry capacity, and I believe this is a two-seater as well. But yeah, like as time goes on, you'll be able to make bigger and bigger repair kits. So the vehicles in the world, some of them are repairable. So when I found this truck, I came up to it, it said military truck loot, and it also said repairable underneath. So once we got ourselves a truck repair kit, I got this big covered, you know, military truck. And it doesn't go very fast, and it burns a lot of gas, but it also carries 12,000 pounds. So I took this thing out, and I was out for over a day, and I didn't even have it close to filled, but I filled up the slots. So there's helicopters too, spoilers. So the vehicle changes are quite nice. You can kind of find a vehicle that fits your needs and your wants. They do have the original truck as well, which is just a very slightly different version of the Hummers. They all come in different colors, varieties. There's big helicopters, small helicopters. And even this gigantic mining Tonka truck, which I think is 200,000. You can't craft this thing. There are none that are repairable. I don't even think there's any in the world. But you can buy them from the trader, and they are drivable and usable, but they burn a ton of gas. But this was our final achievement. This takes about 1 million tokens before discounts, so you gotta look for them. Last vehicles, helicopters. The helicopter is essentially a big gyrocopter, but it can lift off vertically. It's the best thing in the world with this. So it's a little bit complicated to drive, but it's basically the gyro. You lean forward, it goes forward. You lean back, it goes back. But because it can hover, you can hover, and you can land on top of buildings quite easily. Like and it's pretty lenient too. The vehicle system is pretty forgiving in 7 Days to Die with damage. Like, you can just land like that. It's fine. It'll eventually settle down and you're good. You're not gonna break anything. But yeah, so this thing is a very expensive one as well. 3,500 pounds, but this is a 4-seater. So that changes the game drastically. Once you get one of these things, you can go out with your buddies and go looting and go on long-term trips. We actually brought things to make gasoline with us. So then it was a really great group thing. And then the smaller one is just more gas efficient. I think it's a 4-seater as well, but it carries less weight. So we each got one of those for ourselves, and it was a lot of fun once we got the helicopter. Like we weren't being like more efficient really than anything else. Like solo looting and farming was probably better off, but we still had more fun together in the big helicopter, the Huey. It's called the DH-800. But it was just more fun, and I think playing with friends and having reasons to play together is a better idea, and that's one big selling point of this mod pack for me. These things here, I suppose I could show you. This is an oil extractor. So you can get these things fairly early, but they take a while to pay for themselves. So 50 oil shale, they changed the way the mining works in this game quite a bit. They lowered the amount you get, but they lowered the amount you need. For me to get 50 oil shale is probably like 5 or 10 swings. But this thing, every hour or two, IRL, is lootable again. So like while it's not lootable, it's functioning, and you can see the animation. Same thing with this is an ore extractor, and it had a little bit of lead. You know, it's only 5 or 10 swings worth of stuff, but now it's going to be working again. And the thing about the ore extractors is they can get things that you can't get mining. So these can get nuggets, diamonds, and they can also get titanium, which is a new ore that was added. And so you do have to make some of these if you want to make things out of titanium or have titanium for other reasons. And we made quite a few. Eventually they pay for themselves and they're worth having some. And they make you have to spend less time mining. Another thing that I really enjoyed early on is the mining experience was reduced so much. I wasn't incentivized to just sit in the mine and grind up XP. I wish more mods would do this, because mining is fun and all and relaxing, but we'd all much rather be looting and killing zombies, I would think. And if you want to mine, you can, but it's not the go-to leveling experience like we're used to. Thankfully, these things are here to compensate for that, because you're not getting XP while mining. There's an alternative for doing that. Another big thing that the game added, I spawned in a little desk safe here, is lockpicking system. So normal lockpicks, you just see a progress bar and no interaction. Oh, great. Well, I have a safe that I have marked. I'm gonna go pick that there. Give me 1 second. So like bobby pins. Bobby pins are a really common loot item in the game. They you get them out of trash bags, little cardboard boxes. There's a lot of new lootable objects as well. And they're very important, but they're not very hard to get. So here's a gun safe that hasn't been looted. And here is the lockpicking system, kind of reminiscent of like a Oblivion type style. So you can move this around. Oh, it doesn't like to follow the mouse very well. And when you find the right spot, it'll start to wiggle. So if you hit spacebar, like you can kind of read the instructions. If it just jiggles, that's not the right spot. So you move it a little bit and jiggle it again. And I'll show you guys. So I just broke a bobby pin. Let's see if I can get this here. So there's only one spot that works. So there it started to move. So let me see if I can get it to... So I almost got it complete there, and it started to shake again. So, now I broke another one. So as soon as it starts to move, once you find the center of it, it'll go all the way, and now you've unlocked it. This entire playthrough, I have never broken a safe. And I'm, from my perks, I am the strength guy. I went mining first, because someone always has to be the miner. I never broke a safe. I always had bobby pins, and let me see if I can click it here. Yeah, bobby pin. I always had enough of them. I probably got 200 back at the base, and I usually leave home with 20 or 30, and I find more than I need. Yeah, so the whole safe grind early on, it changes the way you look at prefabs in the early game. And then also, the winter zone is very different in difficulty, and so is the wasteland. Undead Legacy changes the animal spawns drastically in this game. I'll see if I can... As you can already see, a bear. The winter zone is very hostile. There are a ton of mountain lions, so I just have to get them to spawn here for me. There's another bear. There's another bear. So, meat farming was never really a problem, but staying alive in the winter zone was. It was a bigger challenge to stay alive out here than it normally is in the winter zone. There's times where you'll have 3 or 4 of these things on top of each other. We can go over to the trader. So yeah, instead of zombies everywhere, there are wild animals everywhere. There's dire wolves. So they definitely changed the difficulties of the biomes, and I kind of like that. They're being unique, and there's a lot of undead bears in the wasteland and stuff. There's also a few changes to the traders. Unless there's something hidden in the mod pack, we never did find one of these things that we could interact with. But this is definitely a mech suit. I'm hoping there are plans in the future of making a rideable vehicle that is said mech suit, and possibly zombies that are capable of making you feel threatened is one of those things. But I really enjoyed the mod pack. It was definitely a big twist. There's a ton of new recipes. Actually, there are a lot of new tables as well. So, like, I can show you here. Here's a carpenter's table. The only thing that you can really make out of them is wood objects and like a couple bows, clubs. But you make one of these things fairly early on, and then you can tier this up to like a carpenter's table 2, carpenter's table 3. And as you do that, the recipes change. And here's a basic forge, it's destroyed, but then there's also a level 2 forge, and there's a level or furnace, and then there's also a forge where you would basically like an anvil, where you make like your steel and iron plates, etc., 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 like that. Also a repairable motorcycle. This one you wouldn't be able to because it's in the trader, you can't interact with it. But normally if you were to find something like this, you could wrench it down for parts or repair it and take it home. So they changed the way vehicles are made. You can just make a vehicle from scratch, but it's often cheaper to repair one in the world. And some of them are not craftable, you have to find them to repair. So we've been here for just a little bit, and there's even more wolves and things like that. And then here's like here's a repairable vehicle. This one might still be in the range, but you can see it's another police vehicle. And there's tons of different colors of vehicles and stuff like that. Huge expansion to that system. And I like that each vehicle is just slightly different from each other. And you can kind of find the one that you like, and you can pick the color you want and use it to your own ends. I would highly recommend the pack to anybody that enjoys 7 Days to Die. It is a bit grindier in the beginning and quite difficult, so be ready for a challenge early on. But after you've played for about 100 hours or so, it pretty much gets back to vanilla. It turns back into 7 Days to Die pretty quick, but it really extends the beginning, and we all know that's the funnest part. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the review. If you want the tips and tricks, look on my channel. I stream almost every day on Twitch, playing a variety of games. I hope you guys check me out. Thanks for watching.